Okay, in the previous part what we did, we created a project, and using that we were able to browse to our website. Now this website is serving a simple message which is going as send. If we go to Express site, we will see Express provides us a lot of freedom and flexibility. If we go to the API reference of Express, that it's not that we can send only these messages as a response. So this send is kind of sending a message as a response. Apart from this, there are so many other methods that are allowed for us to send the response back, and one such method that we will talk about here is a sendFile method. So if you come here, see this sendFile is a method that we can use to send the file back to the browser request. So when we say we have to send a file back, what do we mean by that is we can create a new file, and I can call it index.html. So we can serve an HTML file. So okay, let me create an HTML file here. So HTML close, and here we go to body, and inside the body we will write a simple message, and here we say h1, this is coming from HTML file, and we'll learn how do we send an HTML file back. You don't believe it? It's your problem. Just a funny message. So we put h3 here, that's it. So we save this file in our project folder, and we call it index.html. Ideally we can call it any file name.html, and rather than saying send, we'll say it's sendFile, and we need to give the full file path over here. Now current directory is always referred to as with a variable name dir name. So if I say __ dir name in this API, this will mean the directory from which this server.js is running, this project is running, plus we are saying index.html. Now we are saying whenever somebody asks for slash as a web server, whenever somebody comes to home page, we'll be returning the index.html. So with this change, we need to restart our server. So we'll close it by doing Ctrl+C, and we say node server.js, hit enter, go back to our site, and we'll refresh it, and this time we see this is coming from the HTML file, and now we are serving HTML file. So whatever changes in future we make to this HTML file, they will be reflected back onto the client. So if I say h6, which is heading number 6, okay, we are updating HTML h6. So if I go back to the page, refresh it, and we see this new message also comes. Now whenever we make changes to our HTML code, we don't need to restart our server, but in case we are making any changes to this JavaScript file, server has to be restarted so that those new changes can be served back. Now this was one route, which is the root route. Then I can add as many routes as I want. If we say here this is login page, and then we can create a different file called login.html, and then /login will serve the login.html file. So we'll see if we go and save this file as login.html, and we change it, this is login page. So I'm not going to create a full-blown login page, but here we'll simply write this is login, and we'll write this is under construction. Yep. So now if we go back, we will have to restart our server because we have made changes to the server.js file. So in case we try without restarting the server, if we simply go and put /login, it will say can't get, because there is no get root defined here. So we'll stop the server, restart it. This time if we go and refresh it, we'll see this is returning the login page, and if we come back to / which is the home page, then it will return us index.html. Well, so with that we have learned how do we serve various web pages to the front end. So this is like Express can serve web pages if we use response.sendFile, and here we have to give kind of full file path. Now how do we get full file path is we used one macro, one variable name dir name plus, and here we gave the file path. Well, so that was about how do we send and serve back the HTML. In this tutorial, our focus is not to create a full-blown website. Our focus mainly is to create RESTful APIs so that they can be consumed with various kind of clients. It may be a mobile phone, it may be a web application. So we will focus on that. So we will not be kind of developing or writing this HTML file kind of responses back. So this was just to demo so that we get some familiarity with what this app.get is and what are these request and response parameters here. Fine, so we understand response.sendFile, response.send. There is one more function which is more important from REST point of view, and that function is response.json. Now this is something that we'll be using quite often, and this is the backbone of any web API. So we'll go here, and for login, or rather than login, let me define it like this. So get us all the questions back. Since we are going to work on a MCQ website, so here our API endpoints will look something like this. If we ask for /questions, then we expect rest.json. It should return back a JSON response. For now, what I'll do is I'll return an array of 2 questions which client will get back, and then it depends on the UI how it renders those responses. For now, we'll return the plain messages, and here we'll say title for this question is who is PM. So I'll keep it short, who is PM of India. So this is the first object, and second question that I'll pass is, I'll say title colon and who is India's cricket captain. Okay, here I can't use the single quotes. Who is Indian cricket team captain. So what we have done is we have defined an array here of questions, and that is what we are returning. So this array has 2 elements, and we are saying response.json, send this back. So once we write this, let's go back, stop our server, say node server.js, hit enter. If we come here and do a refresh with /questions, then we should see the JSON being returned back, questions. So this is the JSON that is coming back. Now we are using Chrome browser. It will be important if we use JSON View Chrome extension, because that will kind of show the response in nicely formatted way. So I'm going to simply do JSON View installed in my browser. So let's say add extension, and once it has been installed, now if we go back to our own local website where we were asking for questions, and this time we see that this response is pretty nicely formatted, and we are seeing it in the form of these individual objects. And if we go to one object, it highlights the complete objects, and it can kind of minimize and maximize the objects. So this all is happening because of the extension we have installed, and this extension is going to be very useful in rest of the tutorials where we will develop advanced RESTful APIs. So thanks for watching. We'll meet again in the next video where we will start generating more routes, and we'll have some discussion about what do we mean by RESTful and how do we design an API in the backend that can be consumed by a different type of clients, which is web or mobile. So here we'll say this is RESTful API is our main target, and before that we should have understood, and this is a prerequisite that everyone needs, which is JSON messages that everyone should have understanding of. So JSON and rest.json method. Well, we'll stop over here, and we'll meet again with the design of RESTful API, and then going forward, this complete web API that we are writing, this will be consumed by the front ends, which can be an Angular application or can be a mobile application.